Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we're talking about the state of Nebraska and some recent comments by Republican Representative Don Bacon where he suggests that Nebraska might be joining the national wildfire of mid-decade redistricting that's currently being talked about nationwide. So the article from the Nebraska Examiner talks by saying that Nebraska could join the national mid-decade redistricting fight that Texas and President Trump started. Retiring Nebraska Republican Don Bacon confirmed to the Examiner that national and state conversations are happening about Cornhusker state legislatures potentially redrawing the Omaha-based 2nd Congressional District. Though he emphasized that, to him, it was, quote, nothing serious yet. Much depends on how national Democrats react to Texas Republicans' efforts to consider a new map designed to give the GOP up to 5 additional seats in the U.S. House in 2026, a midterm election when the party out of federal power, the Democrats, typically gain seats and perhaps control of Congress. Now, as of the time recording this video, Texas House Democrats have fled Texas to block or delay adoption of the GOP's majority proposed congressional maps. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is threatened to forcibly remove some of the Democratic lawmakers from office if they don't return and provide the quorum needed to vote. The Lone Star political standoff spilled over into Nebraska on Tuesday evening when former Texas U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke visited Omaha to motivate Nebraska Democrats to more aggressively fight the excesses of the Trump administration and its fellow Republicans, or risk losing the country to what he has described as an increasing authoritarianism. Now, mid-decade redistricting is highly unusual. Most redistricting is done at the start of each decade after new census counts. Redistricting process vary from state to state. Some, like Iowa, have independent commissions tasked with drawing the maps, which state lawmakers weigh in on, while others, like Nebraska, let lawmakers run the show. The effort from Texas Republicans has already caused a wave of other states, led by Democrats and Republicans, to consider early redistricting. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat leading a Democratic-led state, has said, quote, "We are at war," as she explores her own way to redraw maps in response to Texas. Democratic-led California is looking to redistrict as well. If Texas does, Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker said redrawing is, quote, on the table. Republican-led Florida and Missouri are also considering redrawing congressional maps. Nebraska has also been mentioned as a state that could redistrict, as first reported by DC Insider and Punchbowl News, partly to make it harder for Democrats to win the now open 2nd District U.S. House race, which political experts see as a possible pickup opportunity for the Democrats in 2026. Saying, quote, "I think a nationwide wildfire is upon us," said Dan Vacuna, Common Cause Senior Policy Director for Voting and Fair Representation, referring to redistricting efforts from Texas and California. While the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee calls on blue states to draw new House maps and GOP-leaning groups do the same, Common Cause, a national organization with state chapters, is urging blue states to back away from a redistricting arms race. The group advocates for fairer redistricting. This is ultimately about fair representation for communities getting to have a say, Vacuna said. That's what we're really talking about here, not just the food fight between the parties. Now, it goes into a little bit more information and statements about here. But this is the most important part of the article, which is the prospect of Nebraska's 2 potentially being redistricted. Because in past videos I've done, if you're a returning viewer of mine, you've seen me cover this, Nebraska had a very close House election in 2024, where the Republican, Don Bacon, won by 1.9% against the Democrat, Tony Vargas. This race, which was very, very close, voted for Bacon 160,198 votes to Vargas's 154,369. And when you go by the district results, you see how close it was. Douglas County, the way it's currently drawn, where the city of Omaha is, voted for Vargas 52 to 48 and had a net vote of roughly 10,300 votes for the Democrat over the Republicans. Now, Sarpy County, the second largest county in this district, voted for Bacon, the Republican, 66 to 34. But given the population difference, this netted Bacon approximately 9,200 votes out of Sarpy. So based on these two alone, it actually had the Democrat Vargas leading by about 1,000 votes or so. Then you have Saunders County, which again is smaller than the other two, but given the numbers that Bacon won it by, 76 to 24, Bacon netted about 7,000 votes or so in Saunders County, and then district-wide, Don Bacon ends up winning against Tony Vargas by about 6,000 votes, or a little under 6,000 votes in the district. Now, Don Bacon, I've done previous videos on, is that he is not running again in 2026. He's already announced that he will not. And this 2nd Congressional District, the way it's currently drawn, is more of a Democratic district. It is currently listed, according to the Cook Political Voting Index, at Democrat +3, which, based on my own rankings of 1 to 5 being a 3-point Democratic lean, that would mean this district, the 2nd district, is a lean Democratic district. So when you talk about the U.S. House map right now, where Republicans currently control 220 House seats, Democrats hold 215, well, that would mean essentially in an open race, based on the midterm environment, the Democrats should win back Nebraska's 2nd district, and even if the Democrats end up having a disappointing night in 2026, the odds are still pretty good that the Democrats would win Nebraska's 2nd district. Now, obviously, the redistricting effort happening by the Republicans and Democrats nationwide right now is completely chaotic, and we're not going to know really how it all goes until it happens. It can go a million different directions. States can do it, states cannot do it. Some states can be stopped by their state Supreme Courts, some won't. We have to wait and see how it all goes because it's going to be very messy. But for the state of Nebraska right now, the way the 2nd district is going at the House level suggests the Democrats pick it up. But there's also an important part here that's not being talked about, and that is its presidential significance. Because Nebraska, along with the state of Maine, are the only 2 states in the United States that allocate its electoral votes for president based on its overall state vote and its congressional district vote. So Nebraska and Maine allocate 2 of their electoral votes to the winner of the state's overall popular vote, meaning who gets more votes in the state. And then it also goes over its electoral votes, 1 for each congressional district, for which candidate won its congressional district. And now Nebraska and Maine in 2024 both had, in the state of Maine, for instance, Kamala Harris won the state and the 1st district, but Donald Trump won the 2nd congressional district. So Kamala Harris got 3 of Maine's 4 electoral votes. Donald Trump got 1 of Maine's 4 electoral votes. So 3 and 1, 3 for Harris, 1 for Trump. Now in Nebraska, the 2 statewide went for Trump, and the 1st and 3rd districts went for Donald Trump. But the 2nd congressional district was actually won by Kamala Harris by 4.7%. So at that 4.7% margin, that is still lean Democratic, but it's right around the border of being a likely Democratic district that more times out of not, the Democrats would defeat the Republicans in. So in the same district that Republican Don Bacon was able to win a very close House election, Kamala Harris won this district. Now the Republicans are talking about redistricting. Now, just to give you an idea of what this district looked like, let's go back to a few House elections. Because this is what it looks like in 2024, 1.9% win for Don Bacon. Let's go back to 2020 where it was drawn a little bit differently, and Don Bacon won it by 4.6%. It was more Republican back in 2020. 2018, Don Bacon won it by about 2 points. Let's take a look at the 2024 presidential map, where I just recently did a video of Marco Rubio versus Gavin Newsom. Now, I gave Newsom the 2nd congressional district, and it got Gavin Newsom up to 226 along with the other states. Rubio got 312. But I also gave Marco Rubio Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If you take away Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, but give Marco Rubio or any Republican in the scenario all the swing states that went Republican in 2024 for Donald Trump, well, Nebraska's 2nd district being blue blocks the Republicans' path to getting to the White House. But what if it didn't? What if Nebraska's 2nd congressional district actually was redistricted and Marco Rubio or any Republican had the 2nd district essentially on lock? Well, with Nebraska, 2nd district, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, this gets Marco Rubio or the Republicans up to 269 electoral votes. Meaning, even if the Republicans were to lose Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the Republicans at worst would tie the electoral vote and technically not lose. Then it would have to go to the U.S. Congress to decide who the next president would be. But if the Republicans could hold on to Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina and keep the 2nd congressional district, as long as they hold Maine's 2nd district as well, this would give the Republicans a strong chance at winning the presidential election, assuming they hold the other swing states. Now, this is a big if, as Georgia was very close, only about 2 points in 2024. Nevada also was a first-time flip for a while, since I believe 2004. It was only about a 3-point win. And Arizona and North Carolina have also been very competitive. But if Nebraska's 2nd district is redistricted for 2028 and it's essentially an automatic Republican win, then that could put the Democrats in a tough situation where they have to win all 3 of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania to win the White House. And even then, it may not even be enough to actually win the White House. They would have to win another one of these battleground states. So this conversation around Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, not only is it very interesting in the House, but it's also very interesting for the White House in 2028. So that's where things stand on that front of the 2nd District. Again, it's mainly chatter for now until anything actually happens. That's all it is. But that's something very interesting that you may have to watch for 2026 and 2028 if Republicans do try and redraw the 2nd Congressional District. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts on any other video ideas you would like to see me cover. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.